This is Lantec's Video Interface Edition 13, in which I'll be bringing you all the latest industry news.
And as promised in the last edition, I'll be previewing some of Microsoft's CD titles, released just this week.
I'll be speaking with Mitch Medford of IBM Boca Raton. We'll be looking at some weird-shaped laptops from Toshiba, and as promised, I'll be chatting with Professor Robert Spence of London's Imperial College of Science and Technology. And being year-end, we'll also be bringing you a complete video index of everything we featured during Video Interface's year. To close the programme, our studio director's been let loose with some of the outtakes again. So here's the stock frame index. You might like to reset your VCR minutes and seconds counter now. Well, I'm not quite sure whether I should be pleased to open this edition because it's the Christmas one, or a little worried because it's number 13. Hopefully the two will cancel each other out. It is, however, a packed programme and a little longer than a regular edition. If you're looking for somebody to blame for this, you might try Mr. Haythwaite, who is IT manager of Pontefract Hospital's NHS Trust, who sent back a reply paid card last month saying that he wished the programmes were 2 hours long. So let's get going. Michael Wade has picked a long straw this month and is going to be having a great time this edition, taking our festive look at some of the new Microsoft CD-ROM products. Michael.
In the Christmas edition of Video Interface last year, we showed you Encarta, Microsoft's encyclopedia on CD. This year, we're delighted to welcome back Julie Armitage, Consumer Account Manager for Microsoft, to show us Encarta 95, the all-new version. Welcome, Julie.
Thanks very much.
Julie, what's new about Encarta 95?
Well, we've updated all of the content, so there's 26,000 fully updated articles. But the other thing we've done is we've updated the whole way that Encarta looks and works for you to make it easier.
Right.
So let's go straight in and take a look. We can, for example, look at different topics, different areas of interest, life science, geography. And what you'll notice is as I hover over the different subjects, you actually get a full list of options open to you. So again, it's very much easier to get straight in there and find what you want.
Right. And this new thing called hovering, you don't have to touch the button at all?
Nope, just hovering over there.
Wonderful.
To give you some idea of how much of the content we've updated and how up-to-date it really is, if we take a look at history, for example, there have been major developments this year in the world in African history.
Right.
And you can see it brings up all the topics to do with African history. We could do a word search if we wanted to. And again, we're prompted all the time by these little boxes. So again, very, very much easier to find what you want. So what we'll do is we'll type in Mandela. And there we are. We've got a choice between Nelson Mandela or Winnie Mandela. Let's go in and have a look at this. And you can see very, very quickly you've got the information up there. Let's close this down. And what we've got here is a lot of text information about Nelson Mandela, a full biography. What we can also do is see a sound clip, hear a sound clip, or we can actually look at a video clip. What I can do is actually blow that up so we can see it a little more clearly. And we can find out, for example, about the elections.
For all South Africans, an unforgettable occasion. Mr. Mandela has walked a long road and now stands at the top of the hill.
And that was only in May 94, wasn't it?
That's right. So this is information that's literally only happened in the last few months, and we've been able to include it. In fact, we've got a team of people who are doing nothing but updating the content within Encarta. What we can also do is, for example, skip very easily to related articles. So if we wanted to find out about South Africa as a country, rather than about its history, we can go straight to it. What we've done here is introduce a new thing called fact boxes, and these are available on 40 countries, so that we've actually got information to the key facts about a country.
Right.
So general information, land and climate, population, all of the different information. And again, this is all updated for 1994, so it's really, really up-to-date information. What we can also do, let's go and have a look at some of the features. We've also introduced a media gallery. So what we have here is all of the different multimedia elements, so the sound clips, video clips, music, animations and so on. What we'll take a look at, let's have a look and see what video clips there are. And again, you can see the whole way in which Encarta works has been updated and improved.
Right. I see Hubble Space Telescope there. There was something happened there. They repaired it, didn't they?
They had a few problems, I think, didn't they? Well, here we have the Hubble telescope repair. If we actually want to find out what they did and when, we've got captions associated with all of these, and it tells that this actually took place in December 1993. So again, this is all things that have happened within the last year. What we can do again is let's blow that up and see that a little larger.
Yeah, I'm going to try to get on the bottom bolt now.
We had a good aliveness test.
Oh, good. All right. Outstanding. It's hot for me because the arms are stretched now. Okay. I'll go a little bit to port, like 6 inches. Thank you, port.
So we've updated all of the content, we've updated all of the information, we've updated the whole way in which it works for you to make it much easier to find the information you want.
All right, so I know that people can buy Encarta 95 from
Yes.
retail and mail order outlets.
Yeah.
But if I've got Encarta 94, is there a process that I can get 95 perhaps slightly cheaper? Or
Well, again, what we've done is we've tried to make this much easier for everybody. So what you can do is you can go out, buy your new copy of Encarta 1995, so you can get using it straight away because it's just become available this week. What you can then do is send back proof of purchase of your old version direct to Microsoft, and we'll send you £30 back. So
Right.
it's making it easier for you to move from one version to the next version.
That's
And
terrific.
making it cheaper for you to do that.
Absolutely. Great. I know we're going to see some more products in a moment,
We are.
but we're moving on to something else. Just one moment, thanks.
Okay.
A few weeks ago, Mitch Medford, who is Server Market Development Manager for the IBM PC company at Boca Raton, was in London to launch NetInfinity, IBM's new network management software. Steve grabbed the opportunity to speak with him and see the product.
Mitch Medford, welcome to Video Interface.
Thank you, Steve. Glad to be here.
Mitch, we already have IBM NetView. We now have a new product, NetInfinity. What's the difference and why did we need the new product?
Well, the NetView products from IBM are really good at managing enterprise-wide solutions and focus a lot on software management. In situations where you have a PC server, for example, as like the biggest engine, you don't have a mini or a mainframe, where you have a standalone network, or maybe in a branch solution where you do have a big iron, but somewhere out there the sites are small engines, you need an ability to manage the hardware of these machines. And that's exactly what NetInfinity does. It focuses on managing the hardware attributes of PC servers and desktop machines.
So what sort of information can a network supervisor glean from his network through the use of NetInfinity?
Well, I'll just show you.
Okay.
It's a little easier. Okay, I have here a ThinkPad. It's a 750 machine. It's set up as a NetInfinity manager. So there's a manager product, and then on the Server 95 there, we have a NetInfinity Services product installed. Now, services are the product that you take around and you put on each machine that you're going to manage, both desktops and servers. And then, of course, you pick one, and that's like your LAN administrator or your help desk, or those are the uses I see most commonly. So, ThinkPad is the manager, services. Now, I'm going to go out, and this monitor is attached to the ThinkPad. So we're seeing exactly what I would see as a manager.
Right.
There comes our nice attractive artwork, and up comes the Service Manager window. Now, each of these icons here all represent a service that I can perform on this particular box. Now, I know that's not really what you want to see, but it's interesting to note because it says that you can use NetInfinity to manage your own system.
Right.
Even if you're not even on a network, there's a lot of value added.
Just for a single PC, it has a use as well.
Exactly. You can go home on your home system and use it.
Right.
But we're going to go out on the network, and we're going to take a look at this 95. Now, this is a group. It's a group that I've already defined. You can define your groups any way you want to. They can be multiple systems across multiple networks even. But right now, we only have a group with 2 systems. This is the 95 that we've discovered, and you can see he's represented by a picture. Then there's a ghost machine. That's because earlier, not on this network currently, there was a machine that's no longer present. That shows you exactly how a machine would look to you if it were offline. So you can get a visual indication if a machine's up or
Right,
down.
so NetInfinity knows it has interrogated this machine in the past and it remembers that it was
Exactly.
there. Yeah. Okay.
Now, you point and click. That's as hard as it is. And up comes services again. Now, this time if I push a button, I'm going to be running a program on that 95. I'm going to bring up the System Information tool, and that's going to go out and interrogate all the hardware attributes in that 95. And actually, it does get some of the software information. I'll tell you about that. Like it'll tell you about the device drivers and your config sys and a few things like that. Now, the screen we see here has little bitmaps that represent subsystems. If we wanted to see what the adapter cards were, we go click on this, and you can see now a graphical illustration of all the cards that are shown in there.
That's very nice. Yeah.
Right. You can even see where the back of the computer's at, and if the slots are empty. Why, that slot even shows it has a video extension on it.
Yeah.
Now, this is a microchannel machine, so you get a lot of information on it. We do support ESA, PCMCIA, it's a tough one, isn't it? And the new PCI bus. We support all those. You won't get the graphical illustrations yet. Just because microchannel allows us to actually identify where the slots are at and the ordering they're in. But we're working on enhancing that for some of the other buses. But you will be able to see all the cards in those other buses. I can actually click on a card now, and you can see some very technical information on the card, like what it's configured for. So a LAN administrator could actually go out there and see what adapters are in a box. For example, let's go and look at the fact that this has the RAID subsystem. And that other screen we saw that there was a RAID card. Well, now we can go look and see what physical drives are in the RAID. That's why the cover's off, incidentally, because you can see now that there's those drives installed, and the green lights indicate that their status is on.
Right.
And you can pick a drive and find out a little bit more about it. So you can see how this manages like your hardware inventory. Now all of this can be exported into a database as well. So it's not just attended mode. You can actually schedule to have this information put into a database. Now we have other services. We have a service that is an alert manager. Now I bring that up because I'm going to let you give us a demonstration of how we monitor that RAID subsystem and we generate alerts when a disk drive goes offline. As a matter of fact, I think you should pull a disk drive out.
Okay, I've been waiting for this bit.
Right,
I knew you
yeah.
were going to ask me this.
Now you can pick any drive you want except the bottom drive.
Why not the bottom one?
Because that's the spare.
Oh.
It wouldn't be a fair test. If you pulled that out, you'd just be pulling out a drive
people
that it's
think
waiting to use.
Right, people think we were cheating.
Yeah.
Right, okay, all right.
So any drive you want.
I'll have one straight out of the middle. There we are. Right.
Okay, just slide it out.
Okay. You sure about this?
Yes.
Okay. There you go. It's out.
Okay, now it may take a moment or two for NetInfinity to detect that the drive's gone offline. That's because we're polling that system once every minute or two. If we did it any more than that, you'd start to bog down your network.
Yes.
But while we're waiting, I'm going to show you another service. This comes in very handy. This is a remote session service. Now this brings up a screen that looks like the Windows Live on my machine, but anything I do in this screen is actually being done to your machine, the server. For example, if I do a DIR, that's a directory listing of what's on that machine.
Right.
Now I could format hard drives, delete files. I don't want to do any of that. I think we got an alert.
Right.
Yes. You can see now that the alert tells us that adapter slot 2, channel 1, bay 4. Now,
It tells you loudly, doesn't it?
now what that was another alert action. See, when you generate an NetInfinity alert, you get to take all kinds of actions. This is a pop-up action, right? That's the pop-up. The sound effect is play a waveform action. So you could get to go in and customize your alerts.
So you'd have it scream at you in any language you like, really.
Exactly. Now,
Okay.
you can actually turn the monitor on there, and we'll I'll actually show you what you can do here with this remote session.
Okay.
I'm going to actually start a program on your machine as soon as the monitor comes online.
Oh yeah.
So you got
alert
the
over
alert
here
as well.
Yeah.
Yes, you can alert multiple places. Now, I started Klondike. That's the solitaire game that ships with OS 2.
Right.
Now, you obviously wouldn't want to start a game on someone's machine, but think of the potential uses of being able to kick programs off.
Yeah.
Now, incidentally, if I had a text-based program, like a text-based editor, I could actually interactively edit some files on your machine like your config sys.
Right.
Now, some of the other things that are very interesting about the product is like this server guard card. Now, that's an adapter card that's in that 95, but it didn't ship with that 95. That's a card you buy aftermarket from IBM, and it has voltage and temperature monitoring and controls power, but NetInfinity itself doesn't have support for that card. If you open up the box, you'll see a NetInfinity service diskette for that adapter card. That says that NetInfinity is actually a platform that we use to manage all of our new features on, as well as new technology coming up in the boxes down the road. Now, I'm not going to do a lot with this card, but I wanted to mention it was there to show you that we can snap in new services over time. So once you have NetInfinity in your environment, you've got yourself set up to add new function all the time. That's a whole new service. Let's go over and look at our monitors, and I'll show you what we can do with extending existing services. Now, I'm bringing up a set of monitors here that monitor the resource of all the machines, and there's a few that you get on any machine. You get the CPU utilization here. You can see this is a real-time gauge that shows how much CPU utilization is going on.
Yep.
And you can bring up disk drive capacities, memory utilization. We can even track how busy a disk drive is and if it's having any errors. But if we go on down here, I'm going to bring up some monitors that have nothing to do with the NetInfinity itself. Now, there's a UPS down here under the table attached to this. It's a smart UPS by APC. I think the name's Smart Ups is the name of the product. And the APC Corporation worked with us to write some NetInfinity extensions so that if their UPS is used in conjunction with one of our boxes or in conjunction with NetInfinity, you pick up some additional monitors. UPS load, for example.
Right.
There's the line voltage coming into the UPS. So if we were to pull the plug out of here, you'll actually see that line go down to 0, and we could set an alert to generate an alert.
Yep.
Now you get all these monitors in addition to the ones that come with NetInfinity. Now, I'm going to very quickly show you how we can generate an alert with a monitor.
Okay.
I'm going to turn a few of these off because the screen gets a little too busy for us. You can configure as many on or off as you like. but I'm going to drop these off here. Now let's go back to the CPU utilization. You double click on a monitor and it brings up a threshold screen. This is where you get to set thresholds on anything we monitor. So if you wanted to watch the battery charge on that UPS, and when it got below a certain point you wanted an alert, and then the alert could take all these different actions we've shown you, you can do that. And it's this simple. I would go in here and I would say, create too busy. I get to say how long I want that condition, how long am I monitoring that condition. I'm going to say 5 seconds. Resend, I don't want to have it resent. I want to be alerted when the CPU goes over 20 and then over 30% utilization. Now I created that alert and it's in place from now on.
Right.
So I need to drive the CPU up on the server. And I think what I'll do start.
Here the disk's going over here.
Right, it's bringing in that hot spare.
Right.
I'm going to start Klondike a couple of
Yep.
times and I can guarantee you that that'll drive the CPU up. We should get an alert action. There you go.
There it goes. Yeah.
And up comes the one that tells us that the monitor's been over 30 seconds for 30% for 5
Yeah.
seconds. So I think you see how that works, right?
Indeed.
Now there's a ton of other functions that we really haven't got time to go into that you can do, like see what's on the guy's screen. You can transfer files in either direction. And these functions are going to grow over time. We're going to keep coming up with new ones.
Okay. It sounds like this was a small segment of a 3-hour demonstration. I think.
Yes, I
Yeah.
generally use about an hour and a half to really walk someone through the product.
Yeah. Okay. It sounds good.
Yeah.
Mitch, thanks for joining us.
It was a pleasure, Steve.
Since that interview was recorded, IBM have added Windows support for the NetInfinity Manager. NetInfinity can manage OS/2 and NetWare servers as well as OS/2 and Windows clients. The software is included as standard with almost all IBM server models. Now, with her update of industry trends and news, here's Alison Ball.
Hello. A somewhat briefer industry update this month due to packing so much into the programme. We start with what might turn out to be a very important announcement for the future of the PC industry. IBM, Laurel, AT&T and Motorola have announced a collaboration on a new chip technology. Termed X-ray lithography, this is an advanced fabrication process that uses an X-ray beam to create extremely fine line widths on silicon, allowing more components to be placed on individual semiconductor chips, thus reducing size and cost whilst increasing performance. This is possible because X-rays have shorter wavelengths than conventional ultraviolet light technology. The Collaborative Association claim it represents a major advance and will be critical to producing future generations of microprocessors. Novell UK have announced extensions to Envoy, their portable document tool. The purpose is to support integration with third-party components via a set of plug-in extensions. The extensions will be part of the Envoy Software Developers Kit and will ship in Q1 of 1995. Also from Novell is news of the dropping of recommended retail prices right across their product range. Novell say it has taken this action at the start of their new financial year to bring itself into line with the general trend in the software industry. A brief news item from Claris, who have just released their first personal organiser product. It's called, unsurprisingly, Claris Organiser and sells for £49. Following our digital item in a previous edition of Video Interface, we pass on the news that the DEC PC division have sold 1 million units by the end of 1994, which is double its 1993 shipments. DEC have just expanded their product line by moving back into the notebook sector with the High Note brand. Also some late news from Digital. On December the 5th, between our recording and publication dates, Digital launched their new Priorus servers. Digital believe that these servers, built around PCI and Pentium technology, represent a real challenge to the leaders in the field. They offer rack mounting options and multiple network operating system support, plus access to the StorageWorks options. Full details, of course, from Lantec. You may have heard that Hayes have filed for Chapter 11 reorganisation under American federal law. Not many people in the UK understand the intricacies of Chapter 11, but Hayes have made the move voluntarily and are classified as debtor in possession. This means they retain total control of the company. Hayes' assets far exceed liabilities, and the move has only been made as a result of a short-term cash flow problem, brought about by reorganisation following increasing demand for products. It is, say Hayes, purely a temporary situation, and there is no need for long-term concern about the company, which is carrying on business as usual. And finally, in edition 12, we promise you an evaluation of the Microsoft Natural Keyboard. Our touch typist pronounced it interesting, but said that the letter B was situated on the wrong side. That and the placing of the control key were, however, seen as the only problems. Our CEO's secretary said the typing position was a great improvement over her regular keyboard, and given the time to get used to it, she would willingly swap. So there you have it. It may be well worth investigating. And that's Lantec's industry update for December 1994.
So Julie, this is the second of the Microsoft products. What's this one called?
Well, this is Scholastic's The Magic School Bus Explores the Human Body. And this is really an interactive science adventure. It's an exploration of the human body, but from the inside. So we go on a trip in a magic bus into the human body.
Okay, sounds fun.
Well, we start off in the classroom, and the thing about this is that there's loads and loads of clickable hotspots. So for younger children, when they're first learning to use a mouse and they first come into it, everything they click on, something happens. So it makes it exciting and interesting for them when they get first in. Fish just jumps out. Sometimes he lands on the floor, and if you don't rescue him, he dies.
Oh,
it's very, 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 very sad. Let's take a look across to the other side of the classroom. Now from the classroom, here goes Mrs. Frizzle. She's the teacher, so she will actually help us as we go through.
We are going on our...
If we actually click on the bus, we can start our journey. This is actually the first of the products that we've just launched. There's another one coming very, very shortly, exploring the solar system. So this bus can go anywhere, and this will be obviously part of a series. First thing we can do is personalise it, and kids do love to personalise their products. So we'll call this one Michael, just for you. Are you going to give me your age, Michael?
8.
Okay, and we can choose things like we can choose hair for you, we can choose a mouth for you. Choose your nose, choose you some eyes. There we are.
It's an improvement, isn't it?
You're looking very attractive, Michael, it has to be said. But yeah, kids love to personalise products. And here's Arnold, and he's eating his pack of Cheerios, and he accidentally swallows the bus. So here we are, we're going into Arnold's mouth along with the Cheerios.
And now we're off.
And now we're off on our journey. And what we have to do is, as we go around, we actually have to find a way out of the human body. We actually have to, come out. That's the whole idea. You actually have to escape from the human body at some point.
I think I choose the mouth.
The mouth.
Well, here we are in the mouth. We're inside the bus. We're looking out. We can see, and if we see here, we click on this, it tells us what it is. You can see here some saliva glands coming past. If we want to know where we are, we can always obviously look in the glove compartment for a map.
Right.
So it's really logical.
Uh-huh.
Here we are, you can see it's flashing on the mouth, telling us where we are. We've also got other information as we go through, because there's huge amounts of information. As I say, it's really like an interactive science adventure, really. So, for example, here, adults produce up to 1.5 quarts of saliva every day. There's loads of facts and information. And
very pleasant.
Very attractive. But it's presented in such a way that children can relate to it. Very, very simple,
Right.
punchy facts, information. If we look in the rearview mirror, we can actually see all the children sitting behind us in the bus. And each of the children has their own personality. And they actually give us information, because what we've found is that children relate better to information when it's given by other children.
Absolutely.
So we're actually using that. So here they all are. And if we, for example, click on one of them, she'll actually give us some information about the mouth.
Right.
So when we go to different parts of the body.
We have different types of teeth to do different jobs. Our front teeth, the incisors and the canines, cut and tear food. Our rear teeth, the bicuspids and molars, crunch and grind food.
So again, there's information available for us. If ever we get stuck, we have Liz here, and Liz is help. So she's always on the screen wherever you are. Click on her, and she'll come up and give you some help about the different things that you can do where you are. For example, this kid actually has a computer game on him. And so there are games within the products, but the games are related to the human body.
Right.
So for example, here, Miss Frizzle
DNA
is saying a word. We've now got to pick the actual shape of the mouth that produces those words. So I think have that to start with. So say they're games, but they're actually related. We can now ask her to say that.
D-A-N.
Oh, well, almost right. 2 out of 3 wasn't bad. Or 1 out of 3. So there are lots of games within the product actually related to the human body.
And the idea is to present the facts in various ways and to present different routes so that there is no possibility of boredom or...
The idea is that it's exciting all the time. The way that the screen looks, it's very bright, very, very visual, very colourful. There's lots of things happening, lots of clickable hotspots, but lots of information there as well.
All right, so, and from the mouth we can go down the esophagus and on through the rest of the body.
That's right, and we can find out about the circulatory system, the nervous system. All of that information is in there, but presented in a suitable way for children.
Brilliant. Okay, Julie, thanks.
Okay.
There's a third product, but now we're going off to another item. One moment.
Do you remember this picture? 3 years ago, this advertisement launched a whole creative series for portable computing by Toshiba. If, like me, you looked at it and you thought, computer graphics, you may be interested to see this. It was a real Toshiba portable jigsaw piece, as were many of the other creators that have followed it. Andy Bass is marketing manager of Toshiba UK. Welcome, Andy.
Steve.
And you've been responsible for a lot of these. Tell us about them, would you please?
Certainly, yeah. We've got quite a selection of the models that have appeared over the last 3 years, and I'll try and give you a quick 2-minute guided tour as to what they were all trying to do at the time. The Jigsaw one, as you mentioned, was the first one in the series, and that was really trying to position portables as being a serious part of the IT manager's strategic thinking, i.e. portables are not really, at the time, just executive toys or purely for sales automation projects. They needed to be thought of more strategically than that, if you like.
Right.
The wallet ad more or less speaks for itself to say we've got a range of portables that would fit any wallet or any pocket from that perspective. And if we move on to the video ad, this was to get across the fact that you could now get sound and vision capability on an A4 notebook for the first time. Hence we drew the parallel with the audio-visual industry in which Toshiba is a player anyway.
True.
The Toshiba within a Toshiba was quite simply to position the sub, or what is now called the Ultra notebook. And quite simply that was to get across that whilst these computers are smaller and lighter than their A4 bigger brothers, if you like, they're not really giving up anything in terms of performance and features. So it was really to get that point across.
Right.
The dashboard ad, which is many people's favourites, I would think.
Yeah, certainly mine.
Yeah. This was to get a very simple new introduction of feature across to the public, and that was effectively we put on the T4500 for the first time a little icon panel which told the user how much battery life they'd got left, what was actually working within the computer, and so on and so forth. And really this was to say to the user, charge your battery up now, it's running down, or what have you. Don't leave it to chance. So they could concentrate on their own performance rather than worrying about what's actually going on inside the box. The pen ad, well, that's other people's favourites because that's recently won an award, and that was quite simply trying to get across the emergence of this new pen interface. And quite simply this was saying, work on the new Toshiba and not on the paperwork. Throw all that nasty stuff away, sort of thing.
Right.
And then finally, the one we've got over here, you may not have seen before.
No, I was going to say I don't recognise that one.
Right, that's because it hasn't been seen before. This is a brand new one in the series, which I'll come on to talk about a bit later.
In fact, in this month's PC User magazine, which in fact features the T4900 on the front, I noticed that on the inside front pages we have your latest creative model, which is the Sponge. What is the Sponge promoting?
Right, the Sponge, or the We're Wiping Out Desktops campaign, is really to now promote Pentium on an A4 notebook, and in particular low power Pentium, which is critical to maintain battery life within a notebook computer.
Right. I'm delighted to say you brought one along with you. And not only that, everybody knows it's fast, but I think everybody wants to see inside, and this one we've taken to pieces, which I'm delighted at. Where is the Pentium? I want to see it. Show me the Pentium inside a notebook PC.
Right, well this is not something we would recommend that you do at home, but as you asked particularly, really if I just lift off this part of the casing here, where we've already removed the screen from the top obviously.
Right.
Quite simply, that is the new low power Pentium sitting beneath that protective cover there.
Really?
Not very exciting.
Where are all the big black heat sinks and things, because Pentiums create a lot of heat. Isn't it going to melt the case? So on.
Right. Well, what is clever about the Pentium chip in this particular machine is effectively this.
Mm-hmm.
This is what the fuss has been all about. And if I just turn that round to the camera so that you can get a better look at it, you're quite right that the normal size of a Pentium in say a desktop machine, a full socketed Pentium, and I'll bring this in just to give you some idea of scale, would be something in the region of this size here.
Yes.
If I can just steady that. So that's the sort of size of a normal Pentium.
Right. Yes, that's what I'm used to seeing in some of the ones that we've seen so far on this program.
This new implementation of the Pentium chip,
Yeah.
again, which I'll just move there, is, as you can see, far thinner. Now, if I just turn this round,
Gosh, look at that.
the thickness of that
That's
is
stunning.
actually about the thickness of your camera film. So on there you have a 75 megahertz Intel Pentium.
Gosh.
There are two things that are clever about it. The first thing is the actual tape carrier packaging around the outside there, which I think is actually a copper-based film, as opposed to the normal ceramic base that you would get. If I show you this one, this is actually a DX4
Right.
processor
That's something
here.
that we're a little bit more used to.
That's
a surface mount one, isn't it?
That's a surface-mounted one with a ceramic packaging, which you normally see in this type of computer.
Indeed.
And again, as you can see, that's
It's quite thick and chunky, isn't it, compared with the film. Yes.
It's clever, as I say, in two ways. It's got the tape packaging there around the outside, which enables this particular chip to dissipate heat far more quickly than if it was encased in ceramic.
Right.
So all the horror stories you hear about sticking a Pentium into a notebook computer, then when you put it on your lap you won't be able to have children anymore, is effectively now done away with, in the sense that this type of format will enable it to dissipate heat far more quickly.
I'm glad to hear it, yes.
And the second clever thing is that this is actually then bonded onto the motherboard, so it's not the normal soldering process.
Oh, right.
And again, in good old Blue Peter fashion, here's one we've made earlier. This is just a demo of how this works. There's the actual, the same chip that we've just mentioned there, and if I just turn that, you actually can't see a great deal from there, but it is effectively bonded onto the motherboard specially.
So it's not actually even soldered on anymore?
No, it's not. It's now bonded. And that is actually a unique process which has been developed by Intel and Toshiba together.
Right.
And to give you some idea of what all this means in statistical terms, this particular chip, if I just put that back in there, this chip weighs 1 gram.
Right.
Your typical ceramic-based chip would be 55 grams.
Gosh.
So you're looking at 155 the weight, and in terms of power and performance, if you compare these two here, one being the DX4, one being the Pentium, depending on whose bench tests you actually believe, the Pentium would be getting on for twice as fast as the DX4 75 megahertz chip.
Really? Yes.
And in the region of 30% faster than a 100 megahertz DX4 chip. So, as usual in a notebook, it's always got to be more for less and none of the nasty side effects that go with it.
Right.
So that has been the challenge, and this is what we now have on the chip. It is also a low power 3.3 volt Pentium, which again, from a notebook perspective, is all important, because if we don't keep the power ratings down, then we start losing battery life, and then we effectively haven't got a product.
This certainly shows very clearly the advantage of specialising in one particular area, doesn't it, of PC production. And certainly Toshiba's specialisation in portables shows, in that you're the first with the low power Pentium. I'm going to drag you back to this desk over here, though. I'm not going to let you forget.
Okay.
When is this advert coming out, and what else is coming out after that?
Right, okay. This advertising has actually been signed off literally this morning, so this is hot off the press.
Very hot.
And I'm going to give you a quick preview of what you can see now in the run-up to Christmas.
Oh, isn't that lovely?
This actually complements the sponge advertisement that you saw, wiping out desktops, only this is a little bit more along the positive vein, which talks about the future of desktops. So here you have your executive with his trousers sticking out here, and there is his lovely little desktop sitting on his lap.
Sitting on his lap.
So that promotes, if you like, the T2400, but it's a generic ad to say, when you're thinking computers, think portable, don't automatically think desktop.
Yes, that's a good point. And beyond this?
Beyond that, we have one other little surprise coming out before Christmas, and again, this is early sneak previews.
Right.
We do, of course, have the largest selection of portables. We would say that, wouldn't we? So we had constructed a special chocolate box. This was, I think, nearly 6 to 8 foot big, which we had built specially in order to get about 17 or 18, I can't remember how many now, portables in there.
Our viewers will all be counting now. They won't listen to the next 30 seconds.
So this is to get across the fact that we do have a large selection of portables ranging from pen machines to sub-notebooks, ultra notebooks, A4 and power portables.
Right.
And so you should see that hitting the streets in the run-up to the Christmas period. So.
Right.
And
excellent.
There you have it.
So how many of these advertisements have there been now?
Over 3 years, that's now the 12th one in the series.
Isn't it about time you made a calendar?
It's funny you should mention that, actually, Steve.
No collusion here at all?
No collusion whatsoever.
None at all? No.
Yeah, we're going to put them together in a special limited edition calendar, which we're hoping to get out just before Christmas, hopefully before the new year.
Right.
So we're going to have them all printed up, special limited edition, which will just talk roughly about what all of these tried to do, what they were trying to position at the time, and it's even got something in there to ask you which two of these ads do you think won an award, and write in.
But you've given away one, haven't you? So we've only got to guess one now.
I've given one away, yeah. So there's only one more to guess.
Okay, all our viewers are going to want one.
Yeah.
You're going to let them have one?
Yep, especially for your video. We'll for anyone that you get to write in that actually wants one of these calendars, we'll gladly send them, and as a special treat, we'll even send them out a box of chocolates to commemorate that particular chocolate box ad. Really? It's a special favor.
Oh, well, that's lovely. That's lovely. Okay, so with no collusion at all, this is what you do. Write on the reply paid card, of course, just write chocolates or calendar, your name, your company name. We'll know what you mean. We'll find you on the database. We'll pass the names to Toshiba. If you reply quickly, you'll get a limited edition Toshiba special calendar from 1995 and a box of chocolates for Christmas. Andy, that's a great offer. Thank you very much. And thank you for joining us here today.
Anytime. Thank you very much.
As you can see, we're back with Dangerous Creatures. Tell us about this one, Julie.
Okay, this is Microsoft Dangerous Creatures, and what it is it's a collection of 250 dangerous and endangered animals from around the world. So we've got a lot of different ways of finding out about these animals, but let's go in and look at some of the weapons that they use. So some animals use jaws, some use venom, some use claws. Let's find out about the ones that use jaws. So here we are. It's very, very easy for a child to get straight in and find out about the type of animals that they want to know more about.
Right.
So for example, if I want to know more about a wolf, I can actually get up a screen that tells me all about wolves. And what you'll also notice, you can't help missing, is all the sounds that are associated with it. So it really gives an atmosphere and a feel to it. There's lots of information we can find out about wolves, what they eat, where they live, predator power, and everywhere you see something in red, you can highlight
it. The wolf,
you can click
like
on
the
it.
domestic dog and other canines, has the teeth of a predator.
And there's lots of information there for you. And if you don't do anything, again, you can hear all these sounds coming on. Right. So we can find out about animals by looking at the different weapons they use, or we can actually go in and find out from their different habitats. So let's have a look at different habitats. So again, this is teaching children about the different areas in which animals live. If we take a look at the Arctic, we can find out about all the animals that might live in the Arctic. And I have to say my favourite is the polar bear. Now, you may remember, Michael, last year we looked at Microsoft Dinosaurs, which had, I think, 6 video clips in it. To give you some idea how far we've come along, Dangerous Creatures has got over 100 video clips associated with it. So, if we want to see a video about a polar bear, you'll notice these little animation signs on every screen.
There's a signal, yeah.
The Arctic, a world of ice, snow, and bone-chilling water. The environment that would kill a person is only a wintry playground for young polar bears.
So we've seen 2 ways that we can find out, either by the weapons they use or where they live, but we can also go straight into an index. Let's go down to W. What there are also, as we saw earlier on within the Magic School Bus, there are some little games here that actually help a child to learn. So let's find out about who lives where.
Right.
You can help me on this, Michael.
I'll certainly try.
Right, here we've got a habitat, the tundra in North America. Which of these animals lives there? I'm looking for some help.
You go first. Try the dog.
I think it's a wolf. Yep, it's a wolf. And now it gives us another one, the savannah in Africa. Let's Let's try not him.
Not the cheetah.
If you get it wrong, if you get it right, you move on to something different. And you can actually see there's a picture being uncovered here. So again, it's a way of presenting information in a way that helps children to learn, but it's exciting and visual at the same time.
Yeah.
If we go back to the index, you may have noticed there was a symbol here for the Worldwide Fund for Nature. And what we're doing is we're donating a percentage of the profits towards the Worldwide Fund for Nature.
Oh, really?
And again, there's information here about what they do. There's a little video clip here.
We share our planet with so many wonderful creatures. It's up to us to preserve the Earth in all of its beauty and diversity. World Wildlife Fund works to protect the habitats of endangered species around the world. Its members are making a difference every day.
And I see an icon there, the deadliest of all. Presumably that's the most dangerous creature.
Yep, it is the most dangerous creature on the planet. And we can find out a little bit more about him.
We can choose to protect plants and animals, or we can choose to remain the deadly creatures we've been so far.
Making the point that man is the most deadliest animal of all.
Julie, thanks. Those are 3 very interesting products, and I gather there are more.
Yes, that's right. These are just 3 of a whole range of Microsoft products designed to be fun, educational and exciting for the whole family.
Thank you, Julie.
You're welcome.
When in 1974, our special guest demonstrated to an American audience a graphical user interface in which the user could bring up on the screen the equivalent of an electronic calculator, he was laughed at. Well, 20 years on, we all know who's laughing now. This and many other examples of far-seeing technological wisdom is a very good reason for listening attentively to our special guest, Professor Robert Spence. Welcome to Video Interface.
Hi, Steve.
You've recently concluded some research on what we're going to be doing with computers in the year 2020. Would you like to set the scene and say how that was done?
Yes. In my own research, I value visions. I think you need visions to give you some guidance as to what you're going to be doing. And I thought it would be a rather nice idea to interview about a dozen eminent engineers and ask them what their visions were about how we'd be doing engineering design in the year 2020. I interviewed them, I distilled the visions, and I presented them in an envisionment video. Not a prediction, but an envisionment.
Right.
Yes.
Well, we're grateful to you for bringing that video along. We'll be looking at some clips. Perhaps you'd like to give us some of the highlights of some of these visions.
Yeah. In fact, it was very interesting. They spent very little time discussing technology. Mm-hmm. Perhaps surprisingly. And the reason is summed up in 2 quotations that I've got here. Mm-hmm. One person said, the CPU constraints on anything that we can imagine are gone. So that puts the ball firmly in our court.
It does.
The other person said, bandwidth will become a commodity that is free and irrelevant. Distance is already irrelevant. Mm-hmm. Okay. They then concentrated on the use of those technologies.
Right.
Yeah.
So how are the ways that we're going to be using computers going to change?
Okay, let me give you an example. One example is what you might call a transparent wall. You're Japanese and you're in Kyoto. I'm in London, and we both want to design part of a car. Wouldn't it be nice if we had a transparent wall between us where we could both design on that wall? You could rub out something I've done, and we could collaborate in that way very productively. And one of the advantages is that I can see your expression, because you might not want to tell me that my idea is crazy, but the fact that your eyebrow goes up by 0.5 millimetre tells me all I need to know.
Right.
Yes.
We're already beginning to see this sort of thing on the PC screen in data sharing and so on, but the sort of thing that you're predicting, or not predicting, must use the right word,
Envisioning,
envisioning, would establish three-dimensional views through the wall, surely, and so forth.
Yes, three-dimensional views, just literally as if you were the other side of that glass wall.
Right.
Yes, that's so. It's real, as far as we're concerned.
Might it not be the case that the consultant would actually cost more than the link to Kyoto?
It would, and I think the whole area of consultancy will change. But if a human consultant is expensive, and they often are, then what you're going to see is people renting advisory software and accessing it through software characters. So in other words, if I don't know something about toxicity, for example, I'm designing something medical, I want to know something about toxicity, I'll get some software on toxicity, plug it in my machine, I'll select, in my case, a rather beautiful lady that I can talk to on that screen, and I will ask questions and receive answers. And when she doesn't know the answer, she'll tell me, so that I can then perhaps approach my human consultant instead.
Right.
Yes.
This is very much into the area of artificial intelligence, and as well as expert systems, isn't it?
Expert systems, I think, in that case, rather than artificial intelligence. Yes. Yeah.
Right.
That's right.
One thing that I noticed from the video was the idea of what I might call total immersion in data.
Right, yes.
Explain to us a little bit about this concept as well.
This is to do with what I would call the data revolution. Everybody talks about the information revolution, but I think that hasn't come yet. We've got a huge amount of data, and we've got to get insight into it. Why don't we present that data, typically graphically, on floor-to-ceiling displays, which will be around in the year 2020, not because I want them, but because consumers want them for entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
And look at that data and visualize it. In other words, build a mental model of that data so that I get better understanding of it. But it won't be just graphics. It'll be sound will convey data as well.
Mm.
I can listen to the stresses in a bridge because they're tied to the sound of a violin, perhaps. Some other aspect of the bridge, its deflection might be coded by the bassoon player. Okay, so I can watch, I can interact, and I can have this very immersive experience which will allow not just me but my collaborators to get insight into that data.
That requirement's rather tight.
Hang on, I think there's a trade-off there.
Wait a second. I can hear the stress level getting rather high in that component.
So you're saying that we're going to be listening indeed to
Listening
data.
to it.
The question arises, how many of the five senses can we stimulate with computer data, do you think?
I don't think we'll be smelling it. I think we might be touching it, because there's a lot of things you can do with touch. Suppose you're designing a molecule, and you've got to, I'm not an expert by the way, but I presume you'd take hold of another molecule and try and fit it in.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't it be nice if you could hear that squeezing in, clunk, and feel that molecule going in? So you're using sight, sound, and feel.
And perhaps know whether it's a good match or a not quite so good match.
Absolutely. It might rattle around, or yes.
Interesting,
Yeah.
interesting. You mentioned users will demand these sort of large screens because of entertainment. Do you think entertainment and the home is really going to drive this process forward?
Yes, it's going to be consumer-led. The only reason that engineering designers like me are going to have floor-to-ceiling displays is that the consumers, and particularly maybe those in the Pacific Rim, they're going to fall in love with interactive movies and worldwide games, you know, the Olympiad involving computer games.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to lead the technological revolution.
Mm.
But what I'm concerned with as a designer is, how do I exploit that new technology?
Mm.
Yeah, it's going to be terrific.
You're clearly an enthusiast for the future. One other point I'd like to bring out of your video is the pigs.
The pigs.
Let's just stop for a moment and have a quick look at some pigs.
Sure.
You see these personal information gatherers that we all take for granted nowadays? What a quiet revolution in the way folks get along.
I just wish somebody would come up with a more snappy name for them.
Well, PIG is the acronym.
Hardly elegant. But just look at them all here, chattering away to one another. Hardly elegant.
I like the name they have for them in the Pacific. Curious.
Well, yeah, but haven't I met you before?
Is that a pass?
No, seriously. My PIG guided me to a virtual meeting place on the Matrix, and I've seen you on a video talking about networks.
I do remember. I chose to leave that video there while I was trawling the literature. It was remarkable. Came across a couple of journals still published on paper.
Yeah, Sir William was reminiscing about email and bulletin boards. How did you meet girls on the network in those days?
That's an elegant PIG.
This older thing picks up video and audio, of course. Lets me tag the interesting bits, trend to my voice, and handwriting. Poor little thing.
Could you describe for us exactly what a pig does?
A pig might be something like this. In fact, as far as you're concerned, this might be a pig, a personal information gatherer, or to be more precise, a personal data gatherer. But PIG sounds a lot better. It would record sound, what we're discussing right now. It would record vision. It would record image. And you might look at this little guy and think that I'm getting it in stereo because of the two eyes there. Okay, that would wander around with a person, literally recording everything in both professional life and social life. A huge amount of data, absolutely, but recorded maybe temporarily on some memory that you wear and then maybe downloaded to some bigger memory at home or work. The problem is accessing that data. You know, I met this guy 3 years ago. He was fairly tall, he had blue eyes and a very multicolored tie, and I think he said something about, okay, now maybe by using those things I can recall, somehow you can dig out that data and replay it for me on a screen. There's a huge problem there, and I don't know how we're going to solve it. But that was one of the, I would say, visions that came out that might not be acceptable for social reasons. Because if you and I at a dinner party, I don't think you'd like me recording everything. So that's a vision. I mean, these are visions being tossed out for you and I and everybody else to evaluate, and that one might never come to pass. Who knows?
Yes, I could see that a whole new set of social conventions and mores would build up around the fact that almost everything that everybody does and says is liable to be video recorded, basically.
Yes. This is a problem. I think when people interact with these new technologies over a network in playing games, you know, I'd be playing some game with a guy in Los Angeles, protocols will develop, and we don't know much about them at the moment. But I think in this particular case, you know, people might draw the line and say, if you're wearing one of these and have it switched on, I'm going to be very circumspect about what I say. That could be difficult.
It occurs to me as we speak, are we in danger of becoming very insular? If we're going to meet across transparent walls and so forth, are we ever going to travel in the future?
Yes, yes. The visionaries I talked to said we're still going to be travelling because there's that person-to-person, the value in that person-to-person interaction that's very difficult to define, but we're going to want to keep it. So none of them envisaged us all just sitting in our little tally cottages or whatever, looking at the outside world only on a screen. No, we're still going to be travelling because it's fun as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a bright-looking technological future from your standpoint.
Yeah. Oh, it's very bright.
Yes, you're obviously looking
and enjoyable.
Forward to it.
Absolutely,
Greatly. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yes, I must
I
say,
want to try and influence it as well.
I'm sure you will be. I'm sure you will be. I must say I'm looking forward to it as well. Professor Spence, I've been sitting here fascinated. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much, indeed.
Thank you. Incidentally, if any of you would like a full copy of Professor Spence's video, they're available from Imperial College at a cost of £30. The phone number to contact is on your screen now. Let's now switch from looking forwards to looking backwards. Here's Lantec's video interface video index of the people, the products and the subjects that we've seen during 1994. As last year, we'll be putting a printed version of the index into the first cassette of 1995. And that almost brings to an end our 13th edition of Video Interface and indeed our second year. Let's remember that Lantec is still the only PC reseller and systems integrator to be bringing you information in this fashion.
It's never been Lantec's policy to pursue video interface subscribers with lots of sales calls. We like to think, though, that you will remember us when you're thinking of buying PC systems or appointing your supplier of PC-related products or services. So, if you'd like more information about us and the products and services we provide to the corporate marketplace, we've produced a separate video that describes just that. If you'd like a copy, write Lantec Video on the reply card together with your name and company name, and we'll send you one.
Thank you to all of you that have sent back reply cards this year, and of course to all our guests, sponsors and contributors. Well, we can't put off any longer the moment we gather you enjoy, but that we watch from behind the settee. We'll say goodbye now and wish you a happy winter holiday season and a profitable 1995 and leave you with the best of the slips, errors and amusing moments that you never saw from a year of making Lantec's video interface. From all of us at Lantec, Merry Christmas. And finally, the third leg of the Whitbread Round the World race, the 3,272 nautical miles from Fremantle, Austria. Yes, let's have another go.
There's the first one for the Christmas show of 1994.
In edition 7, we promised you a look at the technology behind the Whitbread race.
With the computer peripherals division of Hewlett-Packard. Also, there's a car coming round which is about to mow me down right behind me as I speak. Thank you.
The Power PC depends for software support on the You see, I decided I was going to mention Power PC in there, and I didn't, and that's, you see, total.
And a man on a bicycle. Of what Hewlett Packard term, it's like a horror movie.
We featured this piece in Video Interface 9. That's new, I haven't done that with the glasses before.
Please remember to email us or return the reply to that. Sorry. The only thing I wasn't happy with was the very, very, very opening.
Thanks, Steve.
All right.
How do we make sure that the kind of qualifications that are around in the industry are appreciated?
Sorry, that's not the question
No,
you were going to ask me.
Gentlemen, welcome to you both.
Good morning, Steve. How are you?
Good morning, thanks for inviting us in.
Let's do that again. Let's do that again. Let's do that again.
It's that bottle of pink fizzy stuff I drank last night.
We're still going, yeah. We won't embarrass them. Oh dear. David, look at that camera over there. Say Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Last year in the Christmas edition, can't say Christmas.